Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be continuing my speed build of the Wintermas Lodge that I was working on the other day. So this is part 2. If you've missed part 1, there'll be a link to it in the description box below the video, so I highly recommend going back and watching that part first if you haven't already seen it. Or you can just start with this one, that's fine too. So basically, this is the second story of this house. Just furnishing and decorating, and then everything outside, which if you've seen what the end result looks like in the thumbnail of this video and of the one before it, there's a lot that happens outside. So, yeah, so this is the master bedroom, or as I sort of like to think of it as more of like a master retreat. I tried to make it so that it was very relaxing and calm and a little bit less Christmas intensive compared to the other parts of the house, because I figured that, you know, the parents who live in this house or who own this house might want a little bit of a break from all of the Christmas festivities that are going on in the rest of the house. So it's still Christmassy and festive. Like, they have a little tree set up in the corner of the room, and they have a pile of some Christmas presents, but just overall, like with the whole color scheme that there is, it's very elegant and understated, and lots of like warm neutral colors. So I thought that would be pretty relaxing, and maybe a chance for them to take a nice little break. If you've noticed, in the corners around the master bedroom, you can see that the master bathroom is already done and the upstairs hallway is already done. I didn't film those because bathrooms in general are not the most exciting things, and it's just not necessary. This house has 4 bathrooms, so I mean, a bathroom is a bathroom is a bathroom. Like, they're all pretty much very similar. So I skipped recording those, and then the upstairs hallway, I could have recorded it, but honestly, it wasn't that much. I mean, it is decorated Christmassy, so you'll see it, and there are screenshots of it at the end of the video, so if you want to get a better idea of what I did there, that would be where you could see it. But yeah, so now I'm moving on to doing the teenage girls' bedroom. So this bedroom is probably the only one that I think is like very clearly gender specific. I try to, in general, make the kids' bedrooms either for guys or girls, just because that way if your family is different than the one I have in my head when I'm working on the build, it still can apply to more people that way. But I don't know, something about those flip-flop lights, I saw them and it took me back to when I was in high school, and I was like, yeah, this belongs in a room for like a teenage girl. So again, not necessarily Christmas specific, but I did use, you know, the lights that were in the most recent holiday update pack. So, but yeah, so everything here is like very soft purples and pinks and whites and creams. It's very cluttered, but it's cluttered in like a cutesy sort of way. Think like Pottery Barn, or like the Pottery Barn teen or PB teen or whatever they call it now, where it's messy and kind of unorganized looking, but it's done so in a very intentional manner. So like this girl probably had like a professional designer, maybe like an amateur designer, come in and help organize things and set things up. And yeah, so there's lots of like fun posters on the walls and lots of pictures, and it's very, very feminine, very girly. The one thing I noticed, so since having this higher end graphics card, I now can put all of my graphics settings turned all the way up in the game, even when I'm not recording, because before I would usually turn them up for recording, but not much else because it was slowly killing my computer. But I've noticed that the edges of some things aren't quite as polished as I thought they were originally. Like, there's the one grouping of posters on her wall that's like, it used to be above the dresser, and then at the last minute I moved it over to the wall by the bookcase. but one of the posters is sort of at an angle, and because it's not a perfectly even rectangle, the line is kind of like fuzzy and blurry looking, which I'd never noticed that before. Or like curtains that I thought were a solid color actually have like a very subtle design to them. Like some of the curtains have like, I think they were like navy blue curtains or orange curtains that came with the base game that actually, when you have your graphics settings turned all the way up, they have a very subtle like dinosaur pattern to them. I was like, well damn, I've been using those in builds where it's not useful to have a dinosaur curtain there. I thought they were just blue curtains or orange curtains. So that's been kind of a fun surprise going through and looking at things a little bit more detail oriented. But yeah, so anyway, so this is what I imagine to be is the kids' bedroom. It's pretty gender neutral. It's probably more stereotypical in boy colors, but especially with kids, like teenagers are one thing, because teenage girls are very different from teenage boys, but I feel like children girls are very much the same as children boys. Like they might play with slightly different toys, but like when you get down to it, they're kind of the same. Like there's really not that much of a difference. So, they all like certain things, like playing with Legos and stuffed animals, and like that just sort of is like a universal truth for kids. So so it is in like a blue and green and black kind of color scheme, but it's, it could very easily be a girl's room or a boy's room. It doesn't really matter. But so I tried to also make this room, basically all of the kids' bedrooms, I've made them a little bit more cluttered and lived in. The first floor of the house is what I was sort of imagined to be like the public space. Like, if you're having people over for parties and stuff, like you still want the upstairs bedrooms to look decent, like not a total slob house, but they don't need to look perfectly decorated either. So this is sort of where I would think that the kids could kind of let their personalities shine through a little bit more, and if it's not totally picked up, it's not the end of the world, because really the parties are happening downstairs, not upstairs. So yes, so I did actually, at one point I had like the floor clutter decoration item. I think it came out in the Parenthood game pack. I don't remember. I think it was the Parenthood game pack, but I decided that was too messy. I didn't want it to be like really, really gross, but I also didn't want it to look too perfect, because some of the rooms downstairs I think look unrealistically perfect, but it's because they're spaces that are meant for entertaining. So like personally, I tend to only clean my house if I have people coming over. So I try to invite people over somewhat frequently so that way then my house doesn't get too gross. But like when you have a space that's available to company coming over, you're going to keep it a little bit neater and more organized and cleaner than you would like your bedroom. Because personally, I know that if I'm hurrying to clean something up before people are coming over, and I don't have the time to deal with finding a permanent home for it, it just gets tossed to my bedroom and I close the door and I don't think about it for a few hours. But yeah, so this room here that's yellow and blue is the toddler room. And I thought, they have this little octagonal space kind of tucked over in the corner, which I thought was so cute to put the toddler dollhouse in there. Oh yes, and then I did remember that I needed to put in night lights, so I went back real quick to the kids' bedroom and threw in a night light, because, man, being afraid of the monster under the bed thing, it gets really annoying sometimes, and then sometimes the night lights aren't quite close enough to the bed, and so it wakes up the kid anyways, and, no. I mean, I know it's probably realistic to, what real life is like, or what being a parent is really like, but could we dial it back a little bit? I don't know. I'm all about choice, I would rather have more choices to do things and not use all of the choices that are available to me than not have very many choices and then be stuck wishing, oh, I wish we could do this, or I wish we could do that. Like, personally, I'm still really hoping that at some point they patch in the ability to like completely turn off vampires in the game, because I don't like them and I've never really liked them. But I used to have a mod that would do that for me, and since the December update, it's been broken. So I can't use it anymore. And I mean, honestly, it's not as bad as I had heard, because I think when vampires first came out, people had a lot more of a problem with it. Like, I don't know, I think vampires were showing up a lot more frequently. But basically, as long as you don't ever let your Sims talk to vampires or use any sort of like look up information about vampires' interactions on the computer, they tend to just stay away. But in all honesty, like, I wouldn't mind having like what's their names? The Vitors or whatever. I wouldn't mind having them just like be regular people in my game. I don't know. But in any case, we've now moved on to the outside of the house. So I did Christmas lights around almost the whole exterior of the build. And then I do put in some garland around the part where the windows are a little bit higher. So I didn't want to do lights there because then it would cover up part of the window. But yeah, also, I did not really realize this until I went into live mode, that those lights actually like change in a pattern. Like the red and blue and green Christmas lights, they kind of cycle through, which I did not know that. So that was kind of a fun surprise for me. And yeah, so I thought it would be, because, you know, this house is set really far back from the road or the edge of the lot. So I made it seem like, you know, you have this long driveway / walkway to get up to the front of the house. Because I don't know, I think back to like old movies and stuff, and like, you know, these old manor homes always have like these big fancy driveways, and sometimes like they would have a fountain in the middle. Like, true life, I've always wanted to have a house that has like one of those big loop around driveways, because then it's like you're having a fancy party and people's drivers will come up in their cars and they drop them off at the door and then they loop around and disappear into nowhere. So I've always thought that that was fun. So obviously we don't have driveways because we don't have cars. So I just did a walkway instead with like the fanciest fountain. I think that's from maybe Romantic Garden stuff. I can't remember. Because my God, we have... It's funny because in some ways I feel like we still don't have enough for The Sims 4, but all of the stuff packs, man, at this point they are just running together in my mind. Like, I cannot keep them straight. But I know the items that come from each of them that I generally use, but I can't remember which pack they come from. So, anyways, so I'm using a lot of the evergreen or the fir trees to kind of decorate the outside, because I don't have any... I know that there is like a snow mod out there, but I don't have it installed right now. So I wanted trees that even in winter it would make sense that they were still green. So that's why it's sort of surrounded by this lush evergreen forest. And then I scaled up the lights, or the trees with the lights on them, that came from the holiday stuff pack. I think those were actually... those were in the very first year that we got the holiday update pack. So, but yeah, so I sort of sprinkled those in throughout the forest to kind of make it have a little bit more light, so it wasn't like a creepy dark forest, it was a pretty dark forest. And then I used a couple of the different sand floor spray paint things, I forget what that's called, to kind of make it look like there's snow, because obviously right now we don't have snow in the game. So I used a couple of different ones to kind of give it that effect, and then I put in these plants. I think they're hostas, but they had a coloring on them that was a little bit icier looking. Like, it's not a green, it's kind of like a frosty green. It almost, I mean, because in real life hostas die in the winter, or they go dormant or whatever, but I thought that, you know, I don't like having the foundation on the front of the house exposed without having like bushes or flowers in front of it. So I thought that was a nice way to finish it off. And then I threw on a big old wreath on the front, and yeah, so this is the screenshots like I said in the first part of this video, if you like this house, you can get it on the gallery in the link that's below the description box, or you can search for the hashtag Mrs. Tomato 1018, or by my username, which is also Mrs. Tomato 1018. I don't use any custom content in my builds. I actually currently don't have any custom content at all in my game, besides from a few mods, but that shouldn't impact this at all. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm so excited to be back now and hopefully uploading more frequently. I still haven't really decided yet on how much I want to upload going forward. At this point, I'm kind of waiting until after the Christmas holiday to make a final decision as to what I want to do. But I'm hoping that maybe in the next week or so I'll have another build up, and then maybe another, I might start doing a Let's Play series or a challenge series. I haven't decided yet because right now it is 3 days before Christmas, so I'm just trying to get through wrapping presents and baking cookies and, you know, and then spending time with my family. So after all that's done, I can regroup and figure out what I want to do. But if you guys liked this video and you'd want to see more, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. You can also hit that little bell icon and it will give you a notification whenever I post a video. And if you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and I appreciate any watches that I get on these videos because it's just so much fun. So thank you so much for watching. Bye!